Vraag 17. How did Ukraine do? Zijn antwoord: Ukraine enacted a law early July last year. It was a law that gave different rights to citizens depending on their ethnic origin. Sta er even bij stil, hè? Sta er even bij stil. Nogmaals de vraag. Als Duitsland de oorlog gewonnen had en op een gegeven moment besloten had, Nederlands wordt er niet meer gesproken, er is geen Nederlandse geschiedenis meer. En on top of dat, als jij van Nederlands komaf bent, heb je minder rechten. Had je dat geslikt? Eerlijk zijn? Had jij dat geslikt? Denk het niet, hè? Denk het niet. This legislation is very reminiscent of the Nuremberg racial laws of 1935. En ja, dat zijn ze. Only true Ukrainians have full rights while others have limited rights. Immediate afterwards, Putin wrote an article explaining the historical genesis of Ukraine. He criticized the fact that a distinction can be made between ethnic Ukrainians and Russians. En terecht. He wrote the article in response to that law. But in Europe, this was interpreted as meaning that he did not recognize Ukraine as a state, and that his article sought to justify a possible annexation of Ukraine. In the West, people believe this, and those who have read Putin's article can count on the finger. And those who have read Putin's article can be count on the fingers of one hand. It is clear that the goal in the West has been to paint a negative picture of Putin. I read the article, it makes perfect sense. Krijgen ze de volgende vraag. What did the Russians expect from Putin? Zijn antwoord: There are many Russians in Ukraine. Putin had to say something. It would not have been right for his people, tussen aanhalingstekens, and from the point of view of international law, not to say anything in the face of a discriminatory law against Ukrainian Russians. All these small details are an important part of the conflict. Otherwise, we do not understand what is happening. This is the only way to put Putin's behavior into perspective and see the mechanism that led to the war. I can't tell if Putin is good or bad, but the judgment we make about him in the West is clearly based on false evidence. Jacques Boot, de Zwitserse commandant, kolonel Jacques Boot. Volgende vraag. What do you think about Switzerland's reaction to the end of neutrality? Zijn antwoord: It's a disaster. Russia has compiled a list of 48 hostile states, and Switzerland is also on the list. This is indeed a change of era, but for which Switzerland itself is responsible. Switzerland has always been the middle ground. We facilitated dialogue with all states and had the courage to be in the middle. There is a hysteria about sanctions. Russia is well prepared for this situation. It will suffer, but it is ready to withstand its impact. However, the principle of sanctions is totally wrong. Today, sanctions have replaced diplomacy. Helemaal mee eens. Ik ga jou sanctioneren, want ik ben het niet meer eens. In plaats van even met elkaar bespreken waarom je het niet met elkaar eens bent en toch middle ground te vinden. Diplomacy. Hij gaat verder. I saw it with Venezuela, Cuba, Iraq, Iran, etc. These states have done nothing but have a policy that does not like the US. This was their fatal mistake. When I see that athletes with disabilities have been suspended from the Paralympic Games, I have no words. It's totally inappropriate. It affects individuals. It is simply perverse. It is as cruel as when the French foreign minister says that the Russian people must suffer sanctions. However, whoever says that has no honor in my eyes. There is nothing positive about starting war, but it is just a shame. Volgende deel komt eraan.